It's the camera that makes the photographer, right? Not the photographer that makes the images. Hello YouTube, my name is Lionel Seawood and I'm a photographer, I guess. I honestly don't even know why I'm making this video. It's probably because I feel like I'm stuck, not getting anywhere, can't progress. I don't know. You probably feel the same way at times, or maybe feeling like it now. Anyway, I started probably shooting, I think in 2015. My daughter started playing basketball inside the gym. I used my cell phone. Of course, I wanted better images, so bought my first camera. It was a Nikon D5300. My images were better, but they still weren't as good as I would like. Of course, I didn't know any of that then. Then I was just doing some reading, just trying to, I was shooting in auto. Doing some reading, trying to figure out how to make my images a little bit better from what I see other people's images on in an indoor basketball court. It says you need primes. Of course, I didn't understand what a prime was. You need fast lenses. I'm like, what is a fast lens? I mean, does it zoom fast, focus fast? What does fast mean? I didn't figure none of that out till, of course, later. But my first lens I bought was a 35mm prime 1.8. I honestly still didn't understand the point. Like, okay, they said buy this lens. This is the good first lens to buy, but because it lets in more light and it's fast, didn't understand it. Until one day I was still shooting in auto. One day I just happened to get close to something, some object I was taking a random picture of in the house, and I just happened to blur the background. It's like, wow, that's cool. That almost looked professional. You know, I think the picture was still out of focus. Whatever I was focusing on was out of focus, but the background was blurry. So I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. So from then on, I started doing more reading, more digging, trying to figure out how to do that again. I guess after trying to figure out how to blur the background, I realized that I probably ought to start shooting in manual, because that's what every YouTuber says to do. You need to learn how to shoot manual. So, well, that was so hard because I did not understand what f-stop was. I understood shutter speed. That's about the only thing I knew. With ISO, I'm like, what is that? I just did not get it. And I don't understand how all three work together. Like anything else, I kept trying, forcing myself to shoot manual. Most of my images would come out way overexposed, or most of them would come out underexposed. I kept doing it. But another mistake I was making was I wasn't shooting in RAW. I was just shooting in JPEG, because at that time, I was like, man, shooting in RAW, this is taking up a lot of space on my memory cards. Yeah. I wish I'd have shot in RAW to begin with, because RAW, you can always go back and fix your images, and with JPEG, of course, you can't, because that's cooked in from the camera settings already. And I stumbled up on a few YouTubers. Jared Poland's one, who says, you know, of course, I shoot RAW. He's saying you should always shoot in RAW. Tony and Chelsea, if I'm saying their names right, was trying to study what they did. Another one where I got most of my inspiration from was, Jason Lanier. I just happened to stumble upon some of his images, and I was just blown away, because I'm like, how do I do that? That's what I want to do. I just love the way most of his pictures looked. I started progressing to try to replicate that, and man, I sucked. I sucked big time. I still personally think I suck, but I'm getting better. I'm getting a lot better than what I started with. So I took actually a Barbie doll, one of my kids' Barbie dolls, was going outside, sitting up on like a stump, or just sitting it somewhere, try to practice shooting it, and the images was not coming out right. Oh God, it was frustrating. I tell you, it was real frustrating. Of course, he used a lot of flash, or constant lights. I didn't have none of that. So I bought some cheap strobes off of cheap flash off of Amazon. Still wasn't getting the results. I just was not understanding. But learning off-camera flash and trying to replicate images like Jason Lanier, I tell you, they make it look easier than what it is, at least back then. It was so frustrating. I would have my daughters out there because I needed something other than a Barbie doll. I had my daughter out there trying to practice with her. Of course, I wore her out. She was getting tired of me constantly taking pictures of her in a flash, flashing in her face and this and that. So it just, one particular day, I happened to get a pretty decent image. I mean, it wasn't nothing like his quality, but it was actually pretty good. And I'm like, oh wow. How did I do that? I still didn't understand how I did it. I just happened to have the light right and just happened to have my settings, good. And the photo came out decent. So I just kept doing more practicing. My cousin was getting married and he asked if I could shoot his wedding. He was just having a courthouse wedding with a little ceremony afterwards, and he asked, can I shoot his wedding? I'm like, I never shot a wedding, so I was trying to be upfront with him, let him know I never shot a wedding. You do understand that, right? I mean, I shot a few other things off, and I never had a paid gig until then, because I know it was my first wedding and this and that, and never been paid, but I wasn't about to do a wedding for free. So we drew up a little contract and this and that. All that practicing actually came out handy because I got images like this. That was the first time that I was able to get images like that out of my camera. And at that time, I had already upgraded again for some stupid reason. But those images I upgraded to the Nikon D810, which I still have the camera.